Your full name position there, mate?
Okay, so I'm Rob Clifton and I'm the Operations Manager here at the Australian Antarctic Division. We're very pleased to report that we successfully transferred the ill patient at Davis Station onto the Aurora Australis last night, and that the ship sailed for Hobart shortly after the operation was complete. The man, who is a member of the station trades team, is now getting really good care and support in the ship's medical facility, and that includes telemedicine support from specialists and others here in Hobart. The return voyage is expected to take about 2 weeks to reach Hobart. The man's condition remains serious but stable, and he is getting the very best care we can provide. It's been a very intensive week for our people at Davis Station and our people on the ship, and this includes great work by all of our expeditioners and also the crew of the ship from P&O and our helicopter crews from Helicopter Resources here in Tasmania. Over the weekend, people have been working around the clock to refuel the ship, and they've been working in quite difficult conditions, often below -10 degrees, and with a fairly constant snowfall as they carried out the operation. It was a mammoth effort, and because of the difficult ice conditions encountered in the harbour at Davis, they ended up having to deploy a fuel hose ashore by helicopter to undertake a refuel of the ship before departing the station. Before the transfer of the patient, we did several test runs to make sure that we could do that transfer safely and efficiently, and in the end it was done incredibly well by the folks in Antarctica. So I'm pleased to say that this massive operation went very well, and the patient is now on the ship and en route to Australia. Thanks.
Do we know how he sustained the injuries?
All I can say is that it wasn't an accident, so it's a medical condition, but it wasn't as a result of an accident or an incident.
How pleased are you from the Antarctic Division's perspective of how well this operation has gone? Obviously the patient's not out of the woods yet, but it seems to have all gone quite smoothly so far.
Yeah, we're incredibly pleased and incredibly grateful to the people we have in Antarctica and the calibre of those people. It has gone as well, in fact, if not a bit better than we could have hoped. And it's true that while the patient is not out of the woods yet, he is in the best possible position we've been able to get him into.
Has any mission of this kind been attempted before?
Yes, so we and other nations have done a number of medical evacuations out of Antarctica by ship and by air. We've done them for our own people, and previously we've done them for other nations in Antarctica, as Australia holds most of the operational and logistic capability in East Antarctica.
How close a contact have you had with the family over the past, say, 24 hours or so, and they're quite pleased with your efforts and no doubt looking forward to getting him home?
Yeah, well, we've maintained really close contact with the patient's family. We have a liaison officer appointed who is undertaking that work. And the family to date have been very happy with the amount of information we've been giving them, and we'll continue to stay in contact with them for the next 2 weeks on the journey back. And also of note is that we've managed to actually link the patient up by phone to his family to speak to them, so that's been comforting for them and quite important.
How confident are you that his condition won't get any worse during these 2 weeks back to Hobart?
Well, we certainly can't guarantee that his condition will get worse or better. All that we can guarantee is that he's going to get absolutely the best level of care that we can provide, including from specialists up here via telemedicine support. So we've really just got to see how things unfold over the next 2 weeks.
How old is the man?
I'm not going to go into the details of his age, etc. The family have asked for privacy, and we really value our people and respect that.
Can you say how long he'd been on station?
Yeah, he'd been on station since November, so he'd gone in to do about a 12 to 13 month trip over winter. He completed about half of that, and was just entering into that final 6 to 8 months of winter now.
Has it been a traumatic experience for those around him on Davis and the staff in general, and no doubt they'll get some form of support as well?
Yeah, so these events can be quite traumatic for our staff in Antarctica. Obviously, our Antarctic teams are very much a small family, very close-knit. So when someone becomes ill, it does have an impact on everyone. I think you can see the results of that impact is how everyone has put in a massive effort in difficult conditions to get their teammate to care.
Excuse me. When he gets back around the 4th of April, will he be taken straight to the Royal Hobart?
Well, that'll depend on his medical condition. So really that'll be assessed over the next 2 weeks, and the next step for him medically will be on advice from the experts back here.
And where are we at with the resupply of Macquarie Island and any other, objectives that the Australis had to take care of on its way back to Hobart?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of getting back to Hobart, the Aurora Australis only had to transit home. There were no more tasks to be done after a very successful and long voyage. In terms of Macquarie Island resupply, we've set a date that we won't leave on that resupply before the 5th of April. We're going to keep monitoring that and update it over the coming days. The ship has about 150 nautical miles more ice to traverse to get into open water. That will take about 24 to 36 hours. But other than changing the date of the Macquarie Island resupply, we don't currently foresee any impact to the scope of that resupply.
What kind of conditions will they be facing in their journey back to Hobart?
So it could be quite challenging. Obviously, providing care for a patient in a ship's medical facility in the Southern Ocean, which can be a very moving platform to be working on, is a challenge for our doctors and for our lay medical staff that are assisting. So while we hope for good weather, we do accept and the doctors are trained and we have the right equipment to continue treating the patient even if it becomes a bit rough on the transit home.
You mentioned the weather. I know that you last week were forecasting it could be interesting conditions for the helicopter evacuation part of it. How wet was weather then, and how is weather looking for the rest of the voyage home?
Yeah, so certainly the weather was challenging in terms of doing the flying that we did at Davis over the weekend. However, paramount to us was maintaining safety. We didn't need another incident, so we were very cautious and careful. We've got really experienced crews, which is great, so they managed to undertake the operation without a hitch. Weather on the way home, we really don't know. So it's the Southern Ocean. The forecasters are starting to have a look at it for us now, and we should know more in the coming days what the transit looks like.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Excellent.